Fan Zone show, we're going to talk about attractions that maybe would benefit or we would like to see with restaurants right there. For those of you familiar with the Pirates of the Caribbean in Disneyland, that might be something maybe we could see someday here in Disney World. We've also got the news, and there's a lot of Disney news. And tonight I'm joined by John, Jess, and I am Stuart. And this is the WDW Fan Zone show. And Jess, take it away with tonight's news.
All right. So I feel like an anchor now. So I'm going to be doing the news in different segments here. My first part is the Walt Disney World parks. And the first thing I have to say is I do have a correction from last week. Apparently, the Hatbox Ghost is not yet in the Haunted Mansion in Magic Kingdom. Anybody to confirm that yet? But I am sorry about the recent excitement, and hopefully he will appear soon. Or maybe he followed someone home. I don't know. Anyway, um, moving on from that, there are 3 new characters in Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. Minnie, Daisy, and Clarabelle are dressed up as the Sanderson sisters from Hocus Pocus in the Boo to You parade. So that'd be very exciting to check that out. As far as the Halloween party goes, August is all sold out. So catch September and October tickets, but beware, Halloween is also sold out. Latin and Hispanic Hispanic and Latin American Heritage Month is coming up starting September 15th, and Disney is doing a lot of celebrating. Mirabelle from Encanto will be meeting guests in the Magic Kingdom starting September 15th, and that is not just for the celebration. She is now going to be year-round in the Magic Kingdom, so that is very fun for our Encanto fans. And the Disney Adventure Friends Cavalcade in the Magic Kingdom has Bruno starting September 15th. And then let's see. Okay, so there's going to be music at Epcot's Eat to the Beat. And then there's also music in Disney Springs. Just for those few weeks, it will be Hispanic and Latin American music. And then there's also going to be some tasty treats at Disney Springs. And also at Disney Springs, there's an art walk. Trathos, a Miami-based Cuban couple who will live paint their art in September. So that's exciting. You get to see them kind of do their paint there at the art walk. And then also the animation experience at the Conservation Station in Animal Kingdom will have a How to Draw Coco from the movie Coco. Lots of fun merchandise to be announced soon for Hispanic and Latin American Heritage Month. All right, moving on. Starting September 18th, Magic Kingdom's Happily Ever fireworks will start at 8:30. Right now, they're starting at 9 o'clock, but beware because throughout the summer, it was at 9:20. So the time just changed a few days ago to 9 o'clock, and then in September 18th, it'll be 8:30 because the nights are getting darker earlier, so they want to move those fireworks up a little bit. If you will be staying at an extended, or if you will staying at a deluxe resort, the extending evening hours will be at the Hollywood Studios for a few nights in October, starting September 30th. And then there's also October 5th, October 11th, October 19th, and October 25th. There are no further dates beyond that for Hollywood Studios extended evening hours. Those usually start when the park closes and about 2 hours after the park closes. On September 22nd until December 31st, the 100th anniversary is coming to Epcot. There will be a Platinum Mickey statue, that nice photo op there. Speaking of photo ops, character meet and greet with Mickey and Minnie at the Imagination Pavilion. and they will be wearing their new Disney 100 outfits. And oh, and then more on the 100th anniversary. The Spaceship Earth light show at night will be at Epcot as well. So that's all I have for the Disney Parks news. I'm going to move on to food. I just have one quick thing. Also, September 22nd, because Epcot is starting to celebrate their 100th anniversary of Disney. They have new food booths at Epcot International Food and Wine Festival. Again, September 22nd is the start date on that. I have 4 new ones. So there's Char and Chop, Wine and Wedge, Bubbles and Brine, and Swirled Showcase. So I don't think there's many details on that, but you can kind of figure that out from there. It sounds really cool. Okay, moving on to merchandise. Not a lot of details for this, but I'll give you kind of a general idea. There's a lot of Haunted Mansion merchandise coming out. There's a lounge fly, a crossbody, and for bags for with the Haunted Mansion design. And there's a cute pin that has like the stretching room on it, so you can like pull it and it actually stretches. So that looked really cool. And then there's also some fun Halloween Mickey Mouse ghost jewelry and other Halloween jewelry. There's a lot going on. There's a lot on sale online as well at Shop Disney if you want to check those out. Lots of Halloween merchandise that you can get. There's some that are selling out, so make sure that you check those out. Even though it's August, because of the Halloween party at Magic Kingdom right now, there's a lot of Halloween merchandise you must check out. And then also, as far as 100th anniversary merchandise, there's going to be a cute like cake lounge fly with 100 on top. It looks like a little birthday cake. And then there's a celebration cake mini ears, lots of like cake decor for the 100th anniversary. Lots of stuff you can check out on Shop Disney and also walk around the parks. There's going to be stuff everywhere for the 100th anniversary. All right, so I'm going to move on. I have some just quick hotel news. So Disney Springs Resort area will start their discounts, 20% off if you book through their website. And this is now through November 30th. And blackout dates do apply. And then finally, I have some Disney Cruise Line news. In about 2 weeks, on August 30th, that's a Wednesday, at 11 a.m. Eastern, there will be a grand virtual reveal of the new Disney Treasure on, this is like a show on the Disney Parks blog website. It'll be Unlocking the Disney Treasure. Adventure awaits on board Disney's newest ship. So they will be just showing you the fun stuff that's going to be different, things that you wouldn't expect. So we're really excited to see that. Again, that's August 30th at 11 a.m. Eastern on the Disney Parks blog website. All right, that's it for the news. I'm going to move on to park hours. So for Magic Kingdom, starting tomorrow, Friday, August 18th, there is a Halloween party, the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party at Magic Kingdom from 7 p.m. to midnight. So the Magic Kingdom's hours will be 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. On Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, the hours will be 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Tuesday, there is another Halloween party. So the park will be open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. with the Halloween party from 7 p.m. to midnight. Wednesday, from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. with extended evening hours. And then Thursday, 9 to 10 p.m. Epcot will be open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day this week with extended evening hours on Monday. Hollywood Studios, 8:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. Animal Kingdom, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Typhoon Lagoon has some changes this week. Friday, tomorrow, 10 to 6. Saturday, 10 to 8 with a special ticketed event from 8 to 11. Sunday from 10 to 8, Monday from 10 to 6, Tuesday 10 to 6, Wednesday 10 to 6 with a special ticketed event 8 to 11, and Thursday from 10 to 6. Blizzard Beach is still closed for refurbishment. Boardwalk 6:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. Disney Springs Friday and Saturday 10 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. and Sunday through Thursday 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. The weather this week, expect highs in the low to mid 90s and lows in the mid to high 70s. It's summer, so there's a 30 to 50% chance of thunderstorms every day. And pack your ponchos and sunscreen. I believe that's it for me.
Jeff, you did magnificently, considering we just do the park news in the past, and I kind of threw a monkey wrench into everything last week and said, going forward, do you mind doing all the news? And Jess really does a better job than any of us have ever done on the show, reading the news.
Thank you so much. I will not get into the Reedy Creek stuff, though. I'm telling you. You can read all that on your own. I don't do politics.
Yeah, I'm so tired of that Reedy Creek crap. Pardon my French for that one, but
yes.
Yeah.
Anything DeSantis, I will not touch on the news.
Yeah. I forgot what I was going to say now. Yeah. Yeah. I remember what I was going to say. Now, I'm not going to mention what's going on in Jess's household now. But she's wearing many hats right now in her house. And to take time away to help us out here tonight and on the show, I do greatly appreciate it.
Thanks. It's fun for me.
Yeah. As you can see, we're missing a few people tonight because they're all either away or involved in personal family matters that are preventing them from being here. Hopefully we'll have a full house next week. But Jess, I really thank and appreciate you being here tonight.
I love doing it. Thanks for having me.
All right.
All right. See you real soon.
Yeah, take care, Jesse. All right. Yeah, something's going on. I know. I don't know how this is going to show up on YouTube, but now it's weird when there's just two people here. I can't change the gallery view to something else. So we've got John here. We'll see. Let's see. Whoop! I hit myself.
Don't hit yourself. It might hurt.
Yeah. Let's see if I can change this. I don't think I can. Nope. That doesn't change it. Anyway, I don't want to bore our viewers who are watching us on YouTube with this. This is something new that must be on the platform that we're using. But John came up with a great idea for the show tonight. And why don't you explain the idea a little bit?
Sure. So I've been to different places in the park where there's a nice juxtaposition or combination of a restaurant and an attraction.
There we go.
And we love to go on the attractions and we love to go to restaurants, but I like when the two come together. And I was thinking, well, you know what? Maybe there's some opportunities to expand that to other attractions. But just to give a couple of examples of the ones that I see that are today, and you had mentioned out in Anaheim at Disneyland, you can sit in the Blue Bayou restaurant and watch the boats go by on their way in to Pirates of the Caribbean. And we had a great opportunity when we've been to Disneyland Paris one time, and they have a great Pirates of the Attraction ride there too, very unique. You can sit in a restaurant that is in the middle of the attraction.
Wow.
And we sat at a table right along the water. It was really cool. But so that's other parks outside of Walt Disney World. But even at Walt Disney World, I think there's some fun places. So one of my favorites is Garden Grill. So in the Land Pavilion, if you eat at the Garden Grill and it rotates around, you can look down on the Listen to the Land attraction. You get to see the different scenes from that. In another favorite is the San Angel or San Angel Inn in the Mexico Pavilion in the Gran Fiesta Tour. You can sit there in the dark, have a nice meal, and there's different opinions on the food there, but you can see the the ziggurat or the temple or the pyramid in the back, and you can hear all the sounds in the forest, and you can see the riders go by in their boats.
Mm-hmm.
So there's also Pinocchio's village house in Magic Kingdom.
Yes.
So if you're fortunate enough to get one of the seats on the side, you can look out through the glass or the plexiglass and see the boarding of It's a Small World. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. I have a couple of honorable mentions. I don't know if you thought about these, but so Cinderella's Royal Table, I think Cinderella Castle is an attraction in itself. You don't get to tour it per se, unless you go to Cinderella's Royal Table or you happen to get a night in the apartment there. There's also Coral Reef. So you can see kind of the other side of the Seas with Nemo and Friend. You don't get to see the attraction vehicles, but you get to see the fish there. And the one other one that I think is a little bit of a stretch, and that is Anti-Gravity's Galactic Goodies in the Magic Kingdom in Tomorrowland, and it's kind of reverse.
People Mover.
So the People Mover looks down into the restaurant instead of the restaurant looking into it. So anyway, I thought that was just a little bit of fun. But so
yeah, go ahead.
Well, so why don't we start? Or do you have any comments about any of those, or having any others that you've mentioned or noticed that?
With when we started the Magic Kingdom, let's go with It's a Small World, because you did mention Pinocchio's village house. I think there's an opportunity there to move the restaurant inside the attraction.
Okay.
And to have the queue go through where the restaurant currently is.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how they can do that. I'm not an engineer, never was, never will be. But I think there is an opportunity to bring it into the attraction somehow.
And do you have any ideas on theming or and do you think so? One of the things that I considered when I was thinking about this is it would seem to make sense that you don't want to disrupt the story of the attraction,
right?
Or you want to I think you could maybe adjust the story, but you don't want it to be a disruption to the people on the attraction.
Correct.
So in Anaheim and Disneyland, the people that are at Blue Bayou eating and the boats are coming by, they're going through the bayou. They're not seeing the animatronics yet. And so it kind of fits into the setting. You're just, hey, there's people eating at a restaurant out there on the side of the river.
And now with It's a Small World, because there are so many different countries, you can have international flavors. And you're not going to be able to represent all the countries, but some of them. And you can move Pinocchio's village house, if you choose to keep the counter service restaurant as it is, someplace else.
Right.
Where, I don't know, which is part of the problem. But they could just put a new restaurant in there. Like I said, move the queue through where the restaurant currently is, and maybe above where, inside the attraction, you can have the restaurant looking down at the attraction.
Exactly. Right. So then it's not obtrusive to the guests on the attraction.
Right.
But if you're fortunate enough to be sitting at a window in the restaurant, you can look down and see all of at least the section that you're near. And
I think they have those darkened windows where you can see out, but you can't see in. So for the guests that are going through the attraction, they wouldn't know anything other than, it's dark glass up there.
Yeah. So would you want any of the music piped into the restaurant?
Honestly, hell no. Maybe for about 30 seconds, and that's it.
Well, when you think about it,
don't get me wrong, it's a great song. It's no.
Well, so let's say the attraction's 5 minutes. Can you imagine? So you get that earworm in your head being on the attraction for 5 minutes. Can you imagine hearing the music for an hour?
Oh, no. No, absolutely not. Are there any places that you've thought of that maybe kind of have the space for it within Magic Kingdom?
Well, so I have three others from the Magic Kingdom, but when you talk about space, and I haven't gone and I certainly don't know how things are arranged within the show buildings today.
Mhm.
I didn't look at the footprint to see if there's space to adjust them. And like you say, I'm not an engineer. But one of the things that occurred to me as far as having space is the Jungle Cruise.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to be careful. I mean, Jungle Cruise has one of the biggest footprint. It will probably has the biggest footprint of an attraction, a single attraction in the Magic Kingdom, and you'd have to go about it the right way. Again, you don't want to disrupt the story, but it's already tongue in cheek.
Mm-hmm.
So you might have some tables scattered at different places throughout the jungle. Certainly have a jungle theme to it, and it'd be more of an outdoorsy kind of. I don't know if you want to call it a cafe or something like that. Now, what
Yeah,
do you
it
do
would
when it
be
rains? That's a little
right.
little
It could be a
different.
problem when it rains, but they can put a canopy over.
Yeah,
So
or a thatched roof,
yeah,
yeah, to fit into the theming. But that was one that occurred to me as to maybe there being enough space that you could repurpose.
yeah. I thought of one also, Big Thunder Mountain.
Oh, okay.
Now, can you imagine the roller coaster coming around and you have a restaurant or maybe tables scattered within a certain confine? Make it look almost like not yeah. What do they call those when they stop overnight and they have they eat? I can't think of the name. I don't know why I thought of it before, but um, not a rodeo. But they could have something there where it's sitting by a campfire, having
Oh, okay.
100-degree, not a real campfire. Let's be
Right,
clear,
right.
but a
Yeah.
fake campfire that doesn't give off any more heat than the Florida sun does. Rain could be a problem too, though. But
Right,
that
right.
was another place I thought of where they could probably fit something in within the confines of the attraction without upsetting the attraction itself.
And maybe have something like Trails End themed kind
Yeah,
of restaurant there to fit in
yeah,
with the Old West, the Old
yeah.
West theming there. Yeah. I think one of the elephants in the room, and my wife made sure that her thoughts were known on where she would want a restaurant to be, and that's the Haunted
I
Mansion.
knew you were going to say that. I knew it.
Well, can you just imagine the clamor
Oh my
from
God.
guests to want to eat in the Haunted Mansion? Yeah, so I think the demand would be
Mhm.
there. People really enjoy the feel and the sense of the Haunted Mansion. So here is where I think it would be difficult. You have to be very careful. Like I said, you don't want to break the story. You don't want to disrupt
Yep.
the guests on the ride. But I had a couple of ideas. And similar to what you had said with It's a Small World with looking down,
Mhm.
space would be at a premium, I think. But if you were on the opposite side or on the opposite side of the ballroom
Right.
looking down in, and so there's already some
It's very
not
dark in
necessarily,
that area too. So
yeah, not necessarily, well, there are some windows over there. I think it would take some trickery, and you might have to kind of have two-way glass, or it could be on another level
mhm.
where you can't be seen but you can see in, and that's a place that guests would love. If they
Oh,
were going to be stationary, that's a guest
absolutely.
where they'd love to be. The other place would be in the graveyard scene. So if you could kind of be on the periphery of the graveyard,
That's
and
cool.
dimly lit, and certainly you could have servers that are dressed like Haunted Mansion. What's the term of the Haunted Mansion cast members? The hosts.
Ghostly hosts.
Yeah, your ghost host. Well, uh, if you'd have a servers like that, dimly lit,
Mhm.
maybe have some glowing effect to the things on the table, whatever. But you'd have a different vantage point looking out at
Yeah.
the graveyard. So
That would be great. One of the things they could do, you wouldn't see the attraction, is if they had a back room someplace where you could go and just have reserved dining.
yeah, exactly.
I
Add,
don't
add
know.
an addition onto the show building, and that's one of the ways that you can avoid the disruption
Yep.
to
But
the
you wouldn't see
rest
the
of the
attraction
guests,
that way, really.
but have it just blend right in. And
Mhm.
I'm going to use that approach on some other ones we'll talk about later.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think where else in Magic Kingdom I would want to see something like that. Yeah, they could do what they did at Disneyland, at Disney, for Pirates of the Caribbean, but
And that
that's
was,
the obvious one.
yeah, and that was my thought too. And again, it's something that the Disney fans would
Mhm.
really be interested in. I'm not quite sure how you'd pull it off. So if you had it where you were adding a section, but that's the problem though, is in Disneyland. Well, I'm sorry, you're going to be in a boat, but you'd have to extend the ride out. And the weird thing about Disney World is you go through a big long queue
Right, they'd have to change.
kind of into the center of the show building.
Yep. Yeah, they'd have to
So I
figure
mean,
that out.
you'd almost have to go back out some and then have the boat travel back in to get to the beginning.
Yep.
So I think it'd be very difficult
I agree.
structurally and from a construction perspective. But
Yeah, it would almost be like they'd have to rebuild the entire attraction to get the restaurant in.
yeah, and they already had to squeeze it in to the location they had to begin with the railroad tracks going under the railroad tracks. So I think it would be very difficult from an engineering perspective.
I agree with you. I've got one for you.
What's that?
Country Bear Jamboree.
Oh, yeah.
Think about what the original purpose of it was supposed to go into a resort, a California resort. California ski resort is supposed to be a dinner show.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? It would fit.
Yeah.
You wouldn't necessarily have a lot of space for a lot of guests, but it'd be kind of like Hoop-de-Doo.
Mm-hmm.
So you're there to watch a show, and if you had kind of some opening, open the walls out and have some balconies where they're serving,
Mm-hmm.
but it would just kind of fit into the whole thing, kind of like you do in the Hoop-de-Doo. You've got a balcony up top where there's people watching from there and people watching from the floor. Same kind of idea.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can expand the show to its original format. Kurt
Well,
would be very happy.
well, you know what? You know what that gives you an opportunity to do? It would take a little extra work in the attraction, but it would also improve the revisiting of the attraction. It's not a ride, but that we've got the re-ride ability for some attractions. Well, the revisability, and that is to have 2 or 3 shows.
Yeah.
2 or 3 unique shows. If you're there eating, you get to see all of them.
Mm-hmm.
If you come in to see the show as an attraction, you see one of them.
Right, and you're adding a few
Come
minutes.
back and try to get the other ones.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah. Anything else you can think of in Magic Kingdom? I'm kind of like grasping.
Those are the ones that I had pulled aside for the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, same here. Let's go. What do you want to say for last? Which park would you prefer to say?
Oh, I don't mind. I whatever. I have different ideas in different places. I've got.
I was going to go into chronological order of when the park's open. So I was going to go to Epcot next.
Okay. Yeah, I've got 5, 4, and 4. So starting with Epcot, I have 5.
Okay.
Why don't you start with the one that you had asked at the beginning of the show?
Oh, Spaceship Earth?
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it would be incredibly difficult to fit a restaurant in there. I mean, I'd love to see it, but you'd have to kind of build it on different levels going up and around the globe. And I don't know how they could do that without a massive refurb that would take forever to complete.
Yeah. Yeah. So I agree that I don't know that it's very likely, but I had the same thought, and the place where I thought it might add to the attraction is in the second half where you're descending back to Earth. And again, like you say, to have multiple levels. Well, right now there's nothing there.
That's right.
So if you had platforms at different levels and you had a way to get people there without too much trouble, you don't want to have people walking up 3 and 4 flights of metal steps.
Right.
But it could be some additional eye candy for the people that are on the attraction.
Yeah.
So they're, watching people eat, and you might still have some things going on in the ride vehicle on the way back, but visually it would add to that kind of dark second half of the attraction.
Yeah, I was hoping they would do the pre-COVID plan refurb and add more viewing of more parts of the attraction to that dead space which is what I call it.
Yeah.
Ending.
I don't think you're the only one.
Yeah. But yeah, that's good. You mentioned the land before, which I think that's great, and I don't think they could apply that same concept to Spaceship Earth. I think Spaceship Earth is unique to any
Oh yeah, well, it's in a geodesic dome,
yeah.
And so you have a very finite amount of space.
Yeah. Where would your another place you would pick?
Well, I think my biggest want is that we have an actual Gusteau's in Remy's. So where they have the sign that says Gusteau's, you could actually go in, and I'm not sure how you could blend the attraction with the restaurant, and I don't think it's important you have to, but if you could go to Gusteau's restaurant and then go to Gusteau's restaurant, or to Remy's restaurant at the end of the attraction, at the end of the movie. So I think that's a great thing, and that might even fit in kind of the attraction, and not where you see the restaurant from the attraction, but you have elements of the attraction like projections occurring at different places accordingly in the restaurant.
Yeah.
So it just ties the experience together without overlapping them.
Yep.
But yeah, Gusteau's is, I would really love to have a Gusteau's there.
Yeah, that was on my list too for Epcot. I'm trying to think where that really was it for me in Epcot, but I'll come. Oh, the Imagination Pavilion.
Oh, okay.
Now, I think that Imagination Pavilion needs to be completely revamped. The attraction itself, I think we need the Dreamfinder back. But I think if they did something there, I think they could put it in the center of the attraction. So you're actually going around.
Oh, okay.
Now, that would take a lot to do.
Right.
But that attraction, I think more than any other attraction in that park, it's one on a list of two that I think in that park needs an overhaul.
The most attention.
Yeah. That's a nice way to put it. I wasn't being so nice. But yeah, I think they could revamp that attraction, fit the restaurant in the middle of it, and have the attraction go around the restaurant. How you get the people in and out of the middle of the restaurant's another story, but they can work that out with the staircase and elevator.
Well, that's why we have Imagineers.
Yep, and they're great.
We're just coming up with blue sky ideas right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and Bob Iger is going, blue sky to the moon with those ideas.
Hey, every idea's got to start somewhere, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. And ideas don't always take the form as originally intended.
Very true.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to pick up with one that you just mentioned, and that's listen to the land. So when you're in the greenhouse area, you could, if you build something out along the edges where you have windows looking into the green areas from the other side. So you have the boats going through and they see the plants, the bananas, the tomatoes, the different all of the different vegetation growing in there. If you had it on the outside, then you'd have to expand the pavilion a bit, but you could have people in the restaurant looking into that. So so it wouldn't bother the people on the attraction, but you'd still get that experience of what's growing in the greenhouses. And they could certainly talk to the fact that, well, here so much of this is coming from the greenhouses. Some of the fish is coming from where we're raising fish in there, kind of like they do. Well, one of the things, you're going to have a little bit of an overlap then with the Garden Grill, because they talk about that there too, or other restaurants in.
That's okay though.
But I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm trying to think where else in Epcot would I put something. I can't really think of another place that doesn't. You mentioned Coral Reef before. I think that works in beautifully with the aquarium.
Right.
I'd like to see cleaner glasses there, but that's and that would be. And I'm not blaming that on anybody. That's just a near impossible feat, because the cast members would have to be on that 24/7, and that's just impossible.
Yeah.
And that's from the inside, not from the outside looking in.
Exactly. I have two other ones, and they're kind of fringe. Well, I'm sorry. One of them is fringe. The other one, I think, it's a natural place to think about. The implementation, I think, is a little challenge, and that's Frozen Ever After. So I think people would like to experience the Frozen story within a restaurant, and having that kind of Nordic, Scandinavian theming of, the old woodwork. And remember the old section of Maelstrom where you got off the boat and you waited to go in to the movie at the end? Had that small sea town feel to it.
Yep.
So I think having a restaurant with that kind of feel would be pretty cool. And one place I think you could actually put it, again, it would take some expansion, and without having a negative impact on the people in the attraction, would be to put it as part of the queue area. So the queue area has already got that kind of
weaving in and
town
out
square feel. And so I think you could weave it into that, and it really just becomes background to that story of being in a Scandinavian town.
Not a bad idea. I think it could be done.
It's inside. You don't have to worry about rain. And people seem to like dimly lit restaurants.
Yeah. Oh, and not to put a damper on your idea, but they could just reopen Ashka House.
Akershus.
Akershus.
Yeah. And well, that's the challenge, is Disney's not likely going to put another big restaurant into the same pavilion.
Yeah.
But we can dream, come up with ideas anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. I don't think there really is, Mission Space can't do it there. Soarin', I think, is.
I don't think there'd be enough interest.
Yeah. Oh, definitely not. And you've got Space. What is it? Space
220.
Yeah, right next door. Soarin', I think the theaters there pose an improbability that they could do something there.
Well, so back up a second. So Space 220, I think, is a little bit of an opportunity. So instead of adding a restaurant to an attraction, adding an attraction to the restaurant. So you've already got a little bit of an experience of getting to Space 220 on the elevator.
Right.
If you, and it's off the wall, but I think you could build more of a space attraction around the restaurant. They've got the elevator, and then they've got the big panels looking out into space.
Mm-hmm.
So if there was a way to interweave a larger space story around the restaurant itself,
Well,
it,
do you
it would
remember
be
when I mentioned the Imagination Pavilion needs a lot of help, and it was like one of the two attractions that I can think of?
okay.
Mission Space was the
Mission
other
space.
one.
Okay. Okay.
So I like your idea a lot. I think anything would be an improvement over what's. I mean, and I've never taken the hard version. What is that? The orange?
Okay.
No,
Right.
or is it the red? I forgot. Oh, green. Wait, it's green and orange.
Green
on
is
easier.
the tame one. Right.
Yeah, I've always gone on the easier one, so I guess that's green.
Yeah.
But I don't like the fact that you don't leave Earth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I
Exactly.
think they kind of ruined the story when they kind of dumbed it down a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely think that anything would be an improvement there. You're right. If they could incorporate the attraction into the restaurant,
Yeah. Redo the attraction somehow, and try to marry that. Find some synergy to connect the two together.
Yep.
And still have a way to only do the attraction or only do the restaurant, but pull them together more.
See what they could do there. You'd probably have to really revamp the attraction. Would be have you go through an area, much like you do with Rise of the Resistance. Have you go through something like that so you actually get into
Right.
the space capsule to
Yes.
take you hopefully out of Earth into outer space.
Well, right.
And then you
Right.
can incorporate it.
Yeah. So you can still take the elevator to get there, but have a different path to get there.
Right.
So one path is I'm just going to the restaurant, I'm taking the elevator. Another one is I'm going to take the attraction, and but I don't have to stay at the restaurant, because you still have to have guests just keep on moving.
Mm-hmm.
But they could get to the platform, and then maybe another part of the attraction is to get back down from the platform.
Yep.
But at least combine the stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could work. Could work.
The one last one that I had that is a bit different, and it's probably not the best timing, but that is having an outside cafe at Moana, the World of Water.
Which we don't know exactly.
We don't know what it looks like, right? But so it's going to be a much more organic space, and if you had a little, and it could be counter service, because you don't want people to hang there too long, but have an outdoor cafe, Polynesian themed, where you could grab a pulled pork sandwich or a Dole Whip or something like that.
You see the magic words, Dole Whip.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Lottie's not even here tonight. I'm getting a message from her. Dole Whip, I'll be there. Yeah.
That was the last one I had for Epcot.
Okay. Yeah, and I didn't have anything else there. Let's move over to Hollywood Studios.
Okay.
Now, Hollywood Studios is lacking a number of attractions compared to the other parks, but we'll see what we can do.
I think there's still opportunities here. I think I have 4 really good opportunities.
I know what your first one is going to be.
Which one?
Rise of the Resistance.
Actually, no.
Wow. All right, go ahead. Let's have your first one.
Well, so here's where I'm going to turn your question on its ear, and mine is actually Smuggler's Run, but here's why. So again, thinking of how do I put a restaurant in without impacting the experience, and that would be, you've got that large queue area that is so heavily themed inside, and you've got an audio animatronic in there, you've got droids and everything else. If you could have platforms along the edges up above, like we've talked about with some of the other ones, but fitting into the theme, so it's kind of metal, industrial, I don't want to say it's dirty, but it just has that kind of look to it.
Yeah, it does.
And it would fit into that, and you can watch what's going on with the animatronic there. You have a lot to look at, and it would be just a different kind of experience.
Not bad. Not bad at all. Yeah, that could work.
Hondo Anaka. He's the audio animatronic.
Yeah. Well, number one on my list was Rise to the Resistance.
Oh, okay.
But not from above looking down, from below looking up.
Oh.
And maybe have the grates there, maybe have, monitors there where you could see some things that you can't catch, you can see on a monitor.
Okay.
While you're enjoying some outer space food.
Okay. Ronto wraps or something, or something altogether different, maybe.
Yeah, some weird concoctions that they've already come up with.
Oh, yeah.
Prices wouldn't be bad.
Right.
Now, how that would work, I don't know, but that was number one on my list.
Yeah. Well, and I think that the interest in food with a Star Wars theming is pretty high. So we've got Oga's Canteen, very, very popular.
Yep.
There's Docking Bay 7, and different people have different thoughts about the food there. Heavily themed, and I think it's pretty popular too. You've got Ronto's Roasters right there in the open with, you can get the Ronto wraps. And again, it's all very well themed, and it fits in. You're in Batu, you're in a Black Spire Outpost, you're in an entirely different place. So any kind of restaurants that go in there, I think, have to be something that would be native to Black Spire Outpost.
Yeah. What's next on your list?
One of the interesting ones that I have, and it goes back to the idea of having something that fits in directly with the attraction, but it doesn't overlap the attraction. And that's Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. And so what I think would be really cool to do, and it's what this whole idea of like Rise of the Resistance, where you are part of the show, is you have a restaurant that has the projections like you have in Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, where the scenes on the walls are changing. You've got projections onto your tables. So what your tables look like could be changing all the time. So you've got this very, I don't want to say manic, but you've got this very vibrant and alive atmosphere around you. The sun might come up and go down. So you feel like you're in another part of the attraction and has that same feel to it, but it's a restaurant. So it's a virtual kind of restaurant, like the attraction is kind of virtual.
Yeah. That would be pretty cool. I bet you have this on your list. It's on my list anyway.
Okay.
Tower of Terror.
It's on my list, but go ahead.
You've got that hotel theme right there.
Yeah. Yep.
It's almost like, think about main dining on a cruise ship, but putting it into the Tower of Terror.
Right.
You have the elevators opening up. Yeah, the people facing out, but it's still just hearing the screams.
Well, exactly. So my thought here was, just like you say, so maybe you enter through the hotel lobby and you go off to the hotel dining room.
Yep.
It fits thematically into the whole story.
It really
and
does.
You're not watching the guests on the attraction, but you're part of the story.
Yep.
So you're in the hotel dining room. You can hear the sounds. So whether there's lightning, there's screaming, that kind of thing, or otherworldly voices, whatever. You'd be removed from the attraction, but you'd be part of the story. And I think people would be there in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be a perfect place.
Oh, absolutely.
For a restaurant.
Yeah.
What else do you have on your list?
Let's see. The last one that I have, and this is, I think it fits well, but so it's not an attraction, it's a show. And
Muppet Vision.
Beauty and the Beast live on
okay. You
stage.
got me. I thought you were going to say Muppet Vision.
No. Beauty and the Beast live on stage. So kind of outdoor under roof extensions to the seating areas. So everybody's watching a show anyway. I mean, it kind of goes back to like the Country Bear Jamboree, where you're just part of watching the show, but you're having a meal at the same time you're doing it.
Yeah, I think that could work. Now I thought about using Muppet Vision 3D without changing the theater. You would have your meal, and then after your meal is done, you go into the queue line to the pre-show for Muppet Vision 3D. Now, how they can do that logistically, because I don't think there's enough space there. Maybe there is. And then you go, you have some people will be on the lightning lane, some people be on the standby line, and then if you're having a meal there, you go from the meal right into the lightning lane and boom,
Oh, nice.
into the movie theater.
Yeah. Well, and even theming it to Muppet Labs.
Mm-hmm.
Again, just to tie the whole story together, to have the synergistic theming, but it's a different part of the experience.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Thanks. That was all I had. I did think of one other one, but I just didn't see how it could fit effectively.
What's
that? Was Toy Story Mania.
Oh, I thought about that, but I didn't push it for the same reason. Yeah.
All right. I guess we're on to. Was that it for you? And
that's it for me for Hollywood Studios.
Same here. Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom, I've got like nothing.
Oh, really?
Nothing, I mean, not much.
Okay, I have a few.
I had.
Well, how about you go ahead and give? Do you have what's your?
Well, the one for me was The Lion King. Is take a section.
Yeah.
And like you go to the movie theaters, or maybe more than one section. You go to the movie theaters and you can order food. Do the same thing at The Lion King. Just it would have to be quick eats like burgers, hot dogs.
Yeah. I had the same thought. My additional thought to that was to put it on elevated platforms on the corners where things come in, but you'd have it raised. And I don't know, again, logistically, like you say, if it'll fit well enough. But if you have an archway, not an archway, but a platform, and there's still room for the cast members and the characters to come in, possibly the floats, but you'd be looking down. So you fit in with the rest of everybody else. There'd probably be a high demand, because if you get the dining there, you've got a guaranteed seat, and you don't have to sit and wait in the queue waiting for the next start of the next show.
Right, you can go in a little earlier, get your food a little earlier, so you're done by the time the show ends.
Exactly. Right, that you could overlap that time in between getting your order taken. Now you want to be careful. You don't want to be deep in the middle of eating when you're watching the show.
No.
So you probably want to have most of your meal before the show starts, but then you could be having dessert or drinks afterward or something like that.
Well, that brings up a good point too, because if you're there with a family of young children, and you know how patient young children can be, you really want to be done eating before the excitement for them starts.
And then you have to have cast members to watch them, be careful that they're going to go over to the railing to watch and make sure nobody falls, since I said it's an elevated platform.
No, Johnny, don't jump. Don't copy the monkeys.
No swinging.
Yeah, no swinging, right.
And no, you can't jump down to the trampoline from up there.
Yeah. All right. What do you have in Animal Kingdom?
I think one of my more interested ones, and one in which I'd be more interested, is the Navi River Journey.
I thought about that one. I just couldn't figure out how they could do it.
So the way that I think it could work, and again, it's one of those things where it's kind of separate but equal. Oh, that sounds horrible. but uh, separate, but with the same experience. And that is, you're on the outside of the jungle, or outside of what you see as the walls and the projection of the jungle. And so you've kind of got your own jungle built beyond the walls, and then your wall with the projections is the other side of the wall with the projections for the people in the attraction. So kind of not to demean it, but and not that I think it's a bad thing, but kind of like Rainforest Cafe. So you've got your own plants and the projections of the creatures, the insects, the walking cats or whatever, or dogs or whatever they are, and everything else in there. So you've got the things that hang down from the ceiling, all of those lighted effects would be in the restaurant, but adapted to what makes sense in a restaurant. Again, kind of like that feel of Rainforest Cafe, but on the outside of the attraction. So you don't see the attraction, they don't see you, but again, you become part of the story.
Yeah. Not bad. Yeah, it could work, I guess. Was there anything else you had in Animal Kingdom?
Just two other quick ones. Sure. One is the Maharaja Jungle Trek. So doing something like you have in Sanaa. So in Sanaa, you can look out and see the animals on the savannah. Well, if you found some of the areas that are not taken up by the people walking on the trail, have the windows looking into the tigers or whatever section. I mean, I think the tigers would be a good section. So you get to look out kind of like they do in Sanaa.
So while you're eating, they can see you eating and start celebrating. And we don't want your food. We want you.
They're licking their chops while you are. And then the last one I had, which is similar to Festival of the Lion King, and that is Finding Nemo the Musical, where you have some viewing platforms to watch the musical. And, you know, you still have to work through the timing of dining versus seeing the show. But to be able to see the show.
Yeah, not bad. Now, there was one that I thought of. They could actually build an attraction with food in mind.
What's that?
Across from Finding Nemo, there's that big area there where they had the kite show. And please, Disney, whatever you do, never, ever bring back that kite show. Please, just don't do it. It was probably a good idea on paper, but the paper didn't fly well sometimes. If you could cover the seating area where it would provide, because it's an open area, and it's brutal with the sun. If they could cover that up somehow and put on a stage, whether it's a stage show or even short movies related to animals in the parks, and you know, they own National Geographic, at least for the moment.
Well, true.
They could do some National Geographic shorts. You can go there, have lunch on the benches there, watch the shorts, go in to see Nemo right after, or go on your way someplace else, maybe to Dinoland.
Right.
But we'll see.
Yeah, it'd certainly be good to make better use of that unused space right now.
Now, do you have any honorable mention anywhere, or that was really it? I mean, this was a tough one.
Yeah, it's fun to think about where you could do it. Certainly, it all comes down to what you could practically do to make them happen. But again, to do something practical, you need the ideas first. So I think we have enough ideas that maybe one or two or three of them could come to fruition.
Yeah. Thank you for the idea, John. I thought it was a great idea. I hope our viewers and listeners liked it. We do have a Fan Zone app, WDW Fan Zone app, that John created, and I'm grateful for John for creating that. And we're, you know, if you sign up for the app, and it's good for people who have iPhones, you'll get notifications when we have a new show dropping. There's a whole bunch of stuff out there.
It's just a window into a lot of the content. So
Yeah.
to our show, you can get to the show.
And you can hear or see the good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah, well, yeah. So you may want to listen to the audio. That's up to you. But you can get to the YouTube shows, and you can search through them through topic to find an old one. You can get to the talk show version of the show. You can get to the Apple Podcast version of the show, as well as to get to our social media on Facebook, on Twitter. It says Twitter, it's now X, but you can get to that as well as Instagram. So you can get to that content from us that goes out into the different channels.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're all over the place. We're on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, iHeartRadio. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them, and we're on YouTube. If you want to see us, God help you. No, but if you do want to see us, you can watch us on YouTube. We do ask that you like and subscribe to the show so we can become known more or with more Disney fans out there and get our message and some information that may be helpful and useful, maybe not so useful to everyone out there, but something that is useful. You know, if you're planning a Disney vacation or you want to plan one next year or later this year, there's only one place to go, and that's Mouse Fan Travel. They've got great deals, and you can find out all about them. They're great agents, and what they can do for you to make your next vacation to Walt Disney World the best one yet is just simply by going to www.mousefantravel.com. That is www.mousefantravel.com. I'm trying to think what's in. Oh yeah, I do want to mention something else too. We're trying to change. We combine the two shows, so the news is in the beginning. We're trying to change the format a little bit. We may throw in another segment in the middle if anybody has anything they want to discuss from within the show. You know, one of the podcast hosts, if they have something that's on their mind, we'll allow that opportunity. A little bit of a roundtable before we get into the actual topic of the show. So we'll see how that goes once we have everybody here.
Not much of a round table with the two of us here tonight.
No. Yeah. At least we didn't have to argue like they did at the Geneva Convention for the shape of the table.
Oh, gosh.
All right. Anyway, I think that is going to do it for us this week. We will be back with our regular show next week, hopefully with more of us back here. And I hope everybody who's dealing with the personal family issues, are having a good go at it, and things are getting better for them or great for them. So until next time, everybody be safe. Always be yourself. Bye-bye.
Well, Disney, we've shared a lot of ideas here tonight. If you happen to be listening, we're opening these ideas up to you so that you can come back to us and say, be our guest, be our guest, be our guest. We hope that you will be our guest again next week, same time, and all of those channels. Have a great night. Have a great week. See ya.